Please like, share, don't forget to subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thank you so much. I want to talk about the Mad Greek restaurant today. It's been put on the news via People that Brian Kohberger had been eating at the Mad Greek restaurant. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Mad Greek restaurant, that is the restaurant that both Xana and Maddie had worked at. So the article states, according to a former employee at the Mad Greek restaurant in Moscow, Idaho, Brian Kohberger came in at least twice to grab some vegan pizza. Two of the victims, Madison Mogan and Xana Kernodle, were servers at the restaurant. It's unclear if either woman had waited on Kohberger or if they even interacted. But People confirms that a now deleted account that appeared to belong to Kohberger once followed both Mogan and Kernodle on Instagram, along with the third female murder victim, Kaylee Gonsalves. People has also confirmed via an investigator familiar with the case that law enforcement is aware of the restaurant visits and that investigators have interviewed employees and owners of the Mad Greek. They have also collected surveillance video from the restaurant and surrounding businesses. Well, that's certainly no shock that they would interview the restaurant and get video, but this is interesting, and I say that only because there are conflicting statements from different news outlets about him actually having provable visits to this restaurant. If you've been on my channel for a while, then you may have seen my first video, my very first video on this case. I was trying to solve this crime like everyone else, and I was looking intelligently at what could be the common denominator, since there were two completely different groups of people that were attacked in this crime. You know, Xana and Ethan were like their own separate couple, and then Maddie and Kaylee were best friends and had their own like separate clique. So what was the connection between the two that made them both a target? There had to be something in common. And my very first video, what I found was the restaurant, except that I had thought that Kaylee worked at the Mad Greek, not Maddie. So that was corrected later on. So here we have, this was actually on Reddit, but it was an article saying that the Mad Greek staff said that they don't recognize Brian Kohberger or ever recall serving him. And this was reported by Creme 2 News because Creme 2 had gone there and they had interviewed some people, and that was the information that they had received. So we keep getting these news reports about, you know, a source told, a source close to the investigation. There are gag orders in effect on this case, and I know that people still leak things, but I'm just wondering how credible they are. Though I do believe he did eat there, I just don't know how credible these sources are. When you look up vegan restaurants in the Pullman, Washington, or Moscow, Idaho area, these are the three restaurants that you get. Although the Mad Greek does serve a lot of, meat and things that are not vegan, they do have vegan and vegetarian options. The day after the crime, the boss had written, "It is with a broken heart and deep sadness to share with you that we have lost two of our own here at the Mad Greek. Xana and Maddie have been servers here for several years and brought so much joy to our restaurant and all those they encountered. Maddie was also the face behind our social media pages. With this incredible loss, we have shut down to process and grieve. Our deepest sympathies go out to all of the friends and the families of Xana, Maddie, Ethan, and Kaylee. We as a team offer support to anyone in need at this time." That was put on Facebook, and there were many comments. No comment from Brian Kohberger, as I've been watching it for almost 2 months. I've also mentioned a Reddit user, Inside Looking, as have many others, believe that this is Brian Kohberger. He said K was not the target, in my opinion. X and M were. Look at the killer's route inside the home. K being a target doesn't make any sense. I agreed with that from the beginning, so could this have been just another person thinking the same thing, or is this really Brian Kohberger? Another person said that neither of them were servers, but I would believe the boss over just a random post. There may be some truth to Xana being involved with management and Maddie with the social media, as we know that she did participate in working with the social media, and their majors may have had a role in different functions they played at that restaurant. They had written reviews for each other. Kaylee 3 months ago and Jake had written positive reviews for Maddie, and so did Bethany, which is really interesting. So Jake and Kaylee wrote their review 3 months ago. Bethany wrote hers 2 months ago, which was right around the time of the murder. And she wrote that Maddie was an amazing server. Now, she could just mean was as in when she served them, past tense, last night, or did she write this after they were gone? I don't know. There were other reviews that mentioned other waitresses at that period in time. So it makes me wonder if they were trying to compete, or was someone's job kind of hanging in the balance and maybe they were concerned. Sometimes when patrons complain, and there were quite a few negative reviews in those posts about rudeness or being slow or not being pleasant as a server. So I just wonder if, that has anything to do with it. It got me really thinking as to possible motives. Also, the menu, you can see up in the left upper corner there, it says vegan, vegetarian options. And here it shows the Kira's Amazing Vegan. Sauteed red and green peppers, onions, mushrooms, spinach, and tomatoes on a garlic and olive oil sauce. The vegetarian option, they'll put cheese on it. So this is a small restaurant, not particularly cheap, but it looks like it has good food. That's a picture of the pizza, in case anyone is curious. Other than that, there really weren't many, vegan or vegetarian options. I guess you had to ask. I mean, they had salads and they have hummus and pita bread, so those things would certainly fit that. So was Brian Kohberger actually a patron here? Probably. I have, believed that from the beginning. Will we see evidence of that is a whole other thing. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that these news questionable sources are credible, or what are your thoughts? I mentioned it had me thinking from the very beginning, that there was a connection, and the restaurant was the best fit for a connection with these two very different groups. And I got to thinking after the arrest, when it was made known how particular he was about the different foods. And then you may have seen in one of my videos where I covered some of his posts about his virtual snow or visual snow issues that he was having medically. He was on a very strict diet. He had asked his parents to replace their pots and pans because he didn't want to eat on anything that had meat that was previously cooked in. So could he have had really strict requests of the restaurant? And possibly, since they lived together and they were good friends, could they have appeared to laugh or do something to upset him in some way? Or, who knows? It could have been a gesture as rolling their eyes or being displeased, or maybe questions were asked or something along those lines. And whatever it was may have upset him. Or maybe he felt ill after eating there one time and felt like they didn't do what he asked. I strongly feel that the issue stemmed from an experience he had at this restaurant. It could be any number of those things. It may have sparked a conversation where he may have thought that he made a friend and then was treated very differently on a subsequent visit, and it piqued his interest and he started, stalking them. I don't know, but eventually the truths will come out. If in fact Brian did commit this crime, which it's clearly looking like he did, he had a lot of rage to plan and go through all of that. And in his planning, because all good plans can get ruined, he would have subsequently killed 2 other people that potentially he may not have wanted to kill if these 2 were in fact the sole targets. If he felt betrayed or someone did something to his food, perhaps he could have been enraged. We don't know, and we may find that out. I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm not saying that they purposely did something to it, as a hypothetical. It could have been something as simple as they had a plate of meat next to his plate and they were serving another table, or who knows, after he had expressed his concerns. Obviously someone who's going to kill 4 people in this matter doesn't have the most rational mind in some areas. It will all come out at some point, although they don't have to prove motive. Well, I'll bring this to a close for now, and we will continue to pray for the victims and their families, as well as if anyone has any information to contribute, now that this suspect has been arrested, or can think of anything. If you live in that area pertaining to this crime, please contact Moscow Police Department. Also, we remember little Buddy, who was murdered a month before the Idaho 4, and his crime has not been solved. If you have any information regarding that, please contact the Moscow Police as well. 208-883-7180. Thank you so much for watching.